Welcome to All About Business with me, James Reed, the podcast that covers everything about business, management, and leadership. Every episode, I sit down with different guests who've bootstrapped companies, masterminded investment models, or built a business empire. They're leaders in their field, and they're here to give you top insights and actionable advice so that you can apply their ideas to your own career or business venture. Welcome to All About Business Shorts, where I'm joined by journalist, entrepreneur and tech CEO Sue Douglas. She talks to me in this episode about being a woman in the macho world of journalism.
And I think that men and women are different in many ways, and partially it's biological, partially it's, actual genuine physiology, but it's history. And that the thing I haven't talked about is that women can have children and traditionally have been the ones who look after those children. And I think a lot of women have struggled with the choice of, well, it's that, I can be chief executive of Goldman Sachs, or I can have children. But how do you have both? And again, one of my favourite people in the world, Germaine Greer, used to say, well, you can't. And I used to think, but we can and we have to, but it's a compromise. But is it a bad compromise? Maybe as I'm getting older, I think that men can have more things on both sides without being so driven and focused. Back to our point about ambition and what you can achieve. But I look back on it and I think I have 3 children and I've said to them now they're older.
Boys or girls?
I've got boy, girl, boy.
So what do you say to your daughter?
Well, this is interesting. We're in a pub and I'm with a group of people like we're having this conversation now, and she's with some friends and I know she's listening in because women are aware of these things. And I turn to her and I say, so I wasn't there for you, was I? Because I was deputy editor when she was quite young and I was in Fleet Street and I was this and I was there and I used to come in at midnight and they're asleep. And I have some harrowing little notes from her and the others. Where are you, Mummy? And she went, no, you weren't there. And I think, ah! And she says, but you were an inspiration, that we can do other things too. But perhaps even more poignantly, my son, who has done very well, works for Rothschild in M&A now, and who's 30, he and I had a mum and son weekend recently, which is really important to me that we have these relationships. And I hadn't really talked to him. He's married now and he's doing really well. And we went for long walks together. And he actually, not prompted, said, well, you weren't there for us. And that really hurt me. And he said, but you were a crap mother at times. But when you were here, you were a really brilliant mother. And it kind of set a different standard. And I know how lucky I've been, and we're very honest with each other now in this older relationship. But frankly, I had serial nannies. And that's made me really think about what can I say to both men and women, like my children, I have both. I can't say, oh, men are the ones who earn the money and women are the ones who bring up the children. But I remember when David Cameron was talking about, really trying to, the scale of happiness in society and trying to reboot communities. And it was quite premature in many ways. I think we think about it, and the current generation of youngsters think about it a lot more, that it's not just work, it's work-life balance. And I thought about how women are so much a part of the community, and they notice when the little old guy doesn't come out for his paper, or the dog has run over into the wreck and got run over, or someone's lost something. They notice those things because they're in the community. And now they're running Goldman Sachs or whatever else they are doing. They're not in the community, which leaves the community rudderless. And in a secular society with more and more women being engaged in the whole economic drive, who's looking after society and communities? And I don't know. And I was kind of living that and delegating, in many ways, my children's childhood. And I it's no good regretting things, but I'm observant of it, that women in a man's world, but a man's world isn't the world. A man's world is that work world. And that's where the interesting point about work-life balance comes. Yeah.
But maybe being corrected by the new generation that prioritises this balance.
I think it is. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it is with your children?
Well, I think it's an interesting observation you make about society perhaps suffering and how the balance could be recalibrated, if that's right.
What do you think of this as well? Larry Summers, who I got to know quite well at Harvard, Chancellor of Harvard. So I just flown over, so I'm jet lagged and everything else, and we're having dinner with Neil and various other luminaries at Harvard, and we were talking about exactly this. And he said, well, with more women in the workforce, women are so ambitious to be included in that workforce, and they have the talent, of course, to do it, that they'll do it for less money. And they bring the wages of professions like teaching, law, and medicine, as they flood it, and they're more capable of doing that, down. So no man can enter that. And I was so angry with him, and I've thought about it. It's haunted me because there's an element of truth in it.
I don't agree with him. I do see that phenomena. I mean, our latest data shows that women on average earn 10,000 less than men.
Yeah.
Just as a group, and that have all sorts of disadvantages in the workplace that should be corrected. But it's the employer who decides. Yeah,
but the employer can easily say, "Oh, well, I get all the best women. I can pay less."
Well, but they shouldn't be doing that.
Well, what about with a Reed?
Well, we wouldn't do that. I can say categorically wouldn't. But that seems to be a pattern that's happening, though. It must be if women are being paid less, but maybe
because we're prepared to do it for less. Now that's important too.
Yeah. So, a deal has been done, hasn't it? So, there's been an agreement between employer and employee, or worker and employer. And, so you're saying there's something there that women...
I don't think it's right, but, there's lots of things that are wrong. And again, back to why did I ever love journalism? It's not there's a right or a wrong. I just want people to think twice about what we're doing. And I in no way am I saying, women should stay at home so they can look after the dog not getting run over or the little old man over the street, or look after your children even. I'm not saying that. It's how we construct a way to contribute. Not equally. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to be the person who says, let's do a piece about, women's socks, losing socks in the washing machine.